Gentleman yields. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Moore.
Ms. Berger, thank you so much for being here today. Obviously, the southern border's been in the headlines a great deal, and kind of to follow up on what my colleague was asking, when we went to the border, I talk about this all the time, that the people coming from south of the border are dealing with the cartel. They're paying money to cross the southern border, and one of the most eye-opening things, just south of the border, this was months ago prior to all the inflation, but it was $4,000 or $5,000 they'd pay the cartel, and they'd smuggle them into our country, and if they were further south, it was $8,000 or $9,000, and I think Syrians were paying about $18,000 or $19,000. I don't remember what the Russians were paying, but the thing that when I went with Mr. Biggs and he took us down to the border, one of the things that I found was fascinating. Some of those people didn't have the money to pay the cartel, but they'd put on carpet shoes so they wouldn't have footprints, and they would backpack heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl across that border as a way to pay their passage to the cartel. And then I guess the drugs would be delivered once they cross the border to some distributor or whatever the case may be. Not exactly sure what happened after they got into the country, but fentanyl is certainly an issue. I think 110,000 people died, I think, last year, maybe 109,000, depending on who you ask. I actually attended a funeral Monday, and I come from a fairly small town, and this young man graduated with my daughter, and I'm attending a lot of these funerals. We're losing these young people, think they're buying a Xanax. I think this particular kid actually used one of those vape pods, and it was laced with fentanyl. And so as we move forward, why are we losing the battle to save our young people in America with fentanyl? And what can we do to help you do the job? And what do you see as the issues that keep you awake at night?
Thank you, sir, for the question. Certainly the fentanyl epidemic does keep me awake at night. We dedicate a lot of resources government-wide to combat these organizations bringing fentanyl into our communities. Again, I think I spoke previously about Title 21 authority. Many of these these are polycriminal organizations that are not just trafficking and smuggling fentanyl into the country, but they're also using other types of crimes, human smuggling, human trafficking, weapons trafficking. They're using the same routes, the same money laundering mechanisms. HSI as an agency investigates all of these types of crimes. We have extensive expertise with these areas of crime. Continued partnership with DEA and Title 21 authority for us so that we can investigate fully these polycriminal organizations would help us, give us another tool in our toolbox to help dismantle these polycriminal organizations that are bringing this poison into our communities.
So, Director Berger, you said that, or somebody mentioned, I think in the questioning, that a lot of the raw materials for fentanyl actually land in the U.S. and then they go to Mexico. When they go to Mexico, are they shipping them in trucks or planes or a little bit of both? How are they going back across to make the actual product that comes across in the backpacks that we see?
I think predominantly the chemicals are going directly into Mexico. There is some diversion out of the legitimate supply chain where chemicals enter and then are transported back into Mexico. Predominantly, however, the chemicals are coming directly from China into Mexico.
So, I mean, to get to the causation, what do you think immediately we can do? I mean, I understand you need more resources and we need more investigation, and this thing is a trans-global, whatever, crime syndicate, whatever you want to call it, but what immediately, why are we seeing such a spike? What is going on, and what could we do as Congress immediately to put a halt to some of this? What do you see we need to do? And I get tired of apologizing to these families for losing these children.
Sir, I think what we've historically been doing to combat fentanyl it's just not working, and we need to look at this problem differently and really change the way we're doing business. The criminal cartels, criminal organizations have changed the way they do business, and we need to be nimble and be able to effectively hit them back hard with all the authorities that we have. And HSI has those authorities. With Title 21, as I said, would bring 10,000 more investigators to this fight at no cost to the U.S. government.
Well, I want to segue real quick. I've got about 15 seconds. You said there were 16 agents in Butler County, Pennsylvania, the day that the assassination attempt on President Trump happened. I guess it was the 13th. What specific training is provided to those agents that are assisting Secret Service?
I'm out of time. Would you like me to?
Yes, the gentleman's time's expired, but you may answer the question, Director.
Our workforce are highly trained federal law enforcement professionals. We go through 6 months of training at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia. They also, all of our agents go through continuing training throughout their service with the agency. In addition to that, there is a virtual training that agents complete prior to their deployment on a Secret Service detail, but that deals.
It's a virtual training, though?
It is a virtual training.
Okay. I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman. I apologize.